on 60 Minutes. 60 Minutes began reviewing the story of H1B visas and how they are used to. It's actually a fascinating story. How they are used to circumvent paying Americans a decent salary by getting immigrants to come over and do the work for half the salary. Some of the examples they gave here in Massachusetts, a utilities company named Eversource, has been in Massachusetts. Originally, it was called Instar, but it's been in Massachusetts for forever. Think about the utilities in your state. They pretty much have a monopoly. They're here. They have their tentacles everywhere. And they built the company off of American labor. And as recently, they have been employing an entire IT department well, normally you would call it outsourcing, but they're really insourcing, bringing over people on H1B visas, and where they were paying American workers $120,000 a year, they're now paying these immigrants who are here on H1B visas $60,000 a year. And so they could save a tremendous amount of money by paying immigrants lower wages. Here's the reality of the H-1B visa. It is anyone who has an H-1B visa, they have to be sponsored by a corporation or the company that wants to bring them over. And in cases where let's say an immigrant recognizes they've been taken advantage of, they're really here at the mercy of these corporations. And these corporations can threaten them their H-1B visa status and threaten to really deport them back if they don't just shut up and do the work. This is an extension of an ongoing conversation that we've had on a regular basis about, and I hate to be a reductionist, but this is really about capital versus labor. Because even on the high end or the low end, all right, in immigration as we see it stereotypically, or we think about immigrants coming over illegally, jumping over the walls, whatever they do to get here, and they come and take jobs that are menial tasks that most Americans would not do. That's what we have in our mind on a regular basis, and that still exists, right? There's still a lot of immigrants who are illegal immigrants, undocumented workers who come to America. They overstay their visa, but they take jobs that most Americans would not do because the wages are too low and the labor is too strenuous. However, this phenomenon is going above and beyond that class structure, that class of the lower class of below minimum wage, and it's being extended to white collar workers, where someone who works in the IT department, or someone who's a software developer, someone who has a skill set that is valuable as an American, can now have an immigrant do that job, bring them over here, treat them however they want to treat them, because they're here at the mercy of the corporation. And this is what 60 Minutes was going over last night. There's a couple of examples, particularly in Florida with Disney World, where they have campuses where they bring workers, and they bring them here, they let them stay on campus, and they pay them wages that they would not be able to pay Americans. And there's not really much these immigrants can do about it, because again, they're here almost at the mercy of these corporations. In a lot of ways, this conversation, and not in a lot of ways, but very sadly, this conversation is often used as a means of attacking the immigrant. And this is where it trips me out, because this is not about immigrants who want to come over here and rob American jobs. The real source of this is about corporations who want to get the cheapest labor possible. And so it blows me away if we understand this with the low end jobs, right? The low wage jobs, the jobs that they don't even want to pay minimum wage for. We understand this, but somehow we can't extrapolate that same thought to these white collar jobs that are now being insourced to immigrants. On the low end, we recognize that these corporations want to be able to pay next to nothing. They don't want to pay the minimum wage. And so they get people who are undocumented, and they are constantly going to hire them because they want to pay the lowest wage they possibly can. And if we were really concerned about ending illegal immigration, undocumented workers, we wanted to do that, then we had the capacity to do it right away by actually prosecuting corporations, business owners who hire illegal workers, illegal immigrants, undocumented workers. But we won't do that, right? What we do instead is we vilify the immigrant. We vilify the undocumented worker. And so it's like the best of both worlds. You're able to always point to someone and make them the villain and make it so that you can always push people to the polls to get you reelected because of the boogeyman over here, simultaneously never holding corporations who are making a profit off of this undercut salary. You're never holding them accountable. And this is the same exact concept with the H1B visas, right? These corporations, I mean, a lot of people are using this as a justification to say this is why Donald Trump's travel ban is, well, not the travel ban, but this is why Donald Trump's draconian measures on immigration are necessary, right? Because these people are stealing jobs from poor people. These people are stealing jobs from black people. These people are stealing jobs. Reality of it is that they don't want to hire you anyway. They don't want to hire you because on the low end of the totem, they have to pay you minimum wage or better. And you have expectations and you expect to have health care. You expect to have some type of health care, some type, even if it's just Obamacare. You expect to have something, right? That happens on the lower end. On the upper end, they could save almost $60,000 a year, like Eversource did, switching over from American workers to immigrants on the H1B visa. The abuses that this system has encountered is almost like this natural evolution from where it began in the first place. Where it began originally was in the effort to find talent globally that does not exist in the United States. And one of the requirements for the H-1B visa is that you have to make the case that you cannot find this talent here in the United States. Well, clearly that requirement is a soft requirement, right? Clearly this has evolved into being a way to get the cheapest labor you possibly can. What's amazing to me is that we don't call it what it is, and we don't just address it for what it really is. This is just another way for corporations to skirt our laws on minimum wage on the low end, but also to skirt American talent. I don't blame immigrants. I don't. They're going to take the jobs that they can get. And it just blows me away that people are stuck there. Like, this is a problem of immigrants coming to take your job. No, this is a problem of corporations wanting to get the biggest profit they possibly can by paying the lowest wage they possibly can. This problem is as old as capitalism is. This problem is older than slavery, right? As much as people view slavery as a racist institution, it was equally a capitalistic institution to get the cheapest labor they possibly can. Don't tell me if these corporations couldn't get free, if they could get free labor right now, today, you don't think they would go out there and get it? Because there's still always has been. Reduce this down to the natural forces that are in competition, that are at war with each other, and that's capital versus labor. Capital never wants to pay a dime more than they have to pay. If they could find someone locally to do it for cheaper, they would do it. If they have to go globally and create an entire framework, create an entire world, bring people to the United States and have them at the mercy of corporations in order to get cheap labor, they're willing to do it. And the question is, how long will our politicians allow corporations to, I don't want to use this word, but I don't really have another word. Let's just say to plunder, to pilfer and plunder labor on the global stage.